Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 425. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the program. Before we jump into our article, I'd like to mention a friend of mine and his artwork. Now, this gentleman is named Jerry Pesh, and that's spelled Jerry Pesce. And he is one of the best artists I know. Now, of course, I'm probably a little biased. He's a friend of mine. Jerry and I go back quite some time. We worked together in the world of entertainment before I made the switch into the world of sports betting. And he is a very solid guy, and he has built his art profile from the floor up. When I met Jerry, he was, just a regular old stagehand, busting his hump, trying to make his way in the world. And now, before this pandemic hit, he tasted a lot of success. His pieces are in art shows, and he's doing art cons all around the world, and his work is phenomenal. So I definitely implore you to check his stuff out. Again, I'll throw the website in the description box if you want to check that website out via hyperlink, or, of course, you could just type his name into the Google and his website will pop up. But if you're in the market and you're looking to commission some artwork perhaps, or maybe you want to check out some of the stuff that he might have on hand that he's selling right now or anything like that, definitely give Jerry Pesh and his stuff a look, because it's quality stuff. And he does everything. I mean, from a fantasy sci-fi perspective, there's really nothing that he hasn't put on paper. I mean, from the stuff that he shared with me and the stuff that I've seen from his shows, it is just epic, from Star Wars to Game of Thrones to you name it. So if you're in the market for something like that, some sort of sci-fi fantasy artwork, or I'm sure if you want other artwork done, I'm sure you could commission him and he could whip up whatever you wanted. But in honor of my little mention it March movement I have going on this month, I wanted to go ahead and drop that name on you folks and give my boy a little bit of a push, because, like I said, it's rough for independent contractors right now, independent content creators. Tough for everybody, really. But small businesses especially have been hit hard by this. So it's my hope that this month, even if just a couple of people are steered towards one or two of these businesses, that, a couple extra bucks in a small business's pocket and a few bucks less for our corporate overlords, right? Because really, money talks. And until we stop spending our money with these disgusting people, then, nothing's really going to change. So I guess like everything else, it has to happen in small increments, right? And every movement starts with, you. And personally, from where I'm sitting, and for my money, I'd much prefer to spend it within a small business from my community. So I hope that everybody who can do that is doing that. All right, so on to our article for the night. It looks like there's going to be some movement on the townhouse in Manhattan, and that the townhouse is going to be sold. Now, we know that originally they were talking about the townhouse getting sold in the range of $88 million, and then we got the report that it took a serious shave. And now it looks like they're settling around on a number roughly $50 million or so, according to the headline of the article. So while that's a significant chop, right, it is still $50 million that should go directly into that estate and into the fund. Now, if they used $50 million and they paid off a bunch of settlements already, I don't see any reason why they can't start the settlement program back up, considering we have the impending sale, according to reports, of the Manhattan property and, of course, the Florida property as well. So you're looking at roughly $70 million, give or take some change, between the two properties. Now, that should be enough money to get things moving again and give the court time to make sure that the estate sells off the rest of the properties. Zorro has to go. The island has to go. Everything has to go. All of the art, whatever it may be, all of it needs to be liquidated. And this injection of money, this $50 million or so, should give them a little bit of time to get that going. And I would hope that they'd accelerate this process, right? I mean, now that it looks like there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel from this COVID situation, I'm sure that there's going to be some more high-priced buyers within the marketplace again. So there's no reason that that island shouldn't be able to be sold and that Zorro Ranch property shouldn't be able to be sold. Before they could use the COVID pandemic to drag their feet, but I think that being on the back end of a year of this pandemic now, I think that it's getting harder and harder to use it as an excuse. So I'd really like to see the estate get some movement here. I'd really like to see this happen in a quick manner, and I'd like to see this fund get put right back into play so that there is payments going out to those who deserve them, because these survivors have waited so long for to be made whole by these people in the first place, that every single day or week or month that gets tacked on just makes it even that more outrageous. This should be an expedited process, right? Once the process of deciding who is eligible for payouts is completed, which should obviously be an investigation, right? And everything should be looked into. Well, once it's found to have merit, then the payout process should happen right away. There should be no BSing around. There should be no waiting. There should be no dragging of the feet. Because let's be real. You think the executors aren't drawing a check for their, I'm doing air quotes right now, for their work? And if they drag it out and make it go a little bit longer, well, they make more money, right? It's like hiring a bad contractor to come and fix your house. If you don't know shit about construction, you can get into a situation where you have a contractor turning a 4-month project into a 12-month project, all because they know you're gullible and they could take advantage of you. And the estate for so long has been able to do that to the courts and to people that are involved in the case. Now, I hope that that's over with, and it looks like it is. It looks like Denise George and the courts in the Virgin Islands have had quite their belly full of the nonsense. So hopefully we see these two morons get tossed, Indike and Khan, from the fund, from administering the fund, from being the executors, and hopefully we see them get slapped with some charges of their own. At the very least, they need to be investigated and questioned under oath. Because not only were they allegedly completely and utterly culpable with Jeffrey Epstein and his maneuverings, well, they have not been what I would call decent humans even when it comes to being executors of this estate. Never mind the piss-poor job they're doing. So there's precedent for everything if you look hard enough. I'd really like to see the courts remove these people as executors using whatever channels or methods are available to the government to do so, and get some sort of independent parties in there to facilitate the rest of this whole entire transfer. Because it's clear as day that Indike and Dick Khan are not reliable when it comes to this or probably anything else. All right, so our article for tonight from the New York Post, headline, Jeffrey Epstein's creepy Manhattan mansion set to sell for roughly $50 million. This article was authored by Tamar Lappin. The Manhattan townhouse where Jeffrey Epstein is said to have sexually abused underage girls is set to sell for roughly $50 million, according to a report on Wednesday. And again, not the huge haul that originally thought this place would garner. I mean, $88 million was what it was appraised at before this whole COVID situation. And then with, before Epstein's second arrest and all of that stuff, we were looking at $88 million. And now you're looking at what, 40% roughly? Give or take? Chopped? So it's a significant amount leaving from the final price tag, but it's still a lot of money, right? $50 million is $50 million. So I hope that this sale is expedited. I hope that the people involved in this sale understand what's going on, and they also understand that it's a good idea to close all of this quickly, right? It's better for the buyer, certainly better for the survivors, and it's better for the taxpayer. The sooner that this is out of the court system, the sooner that these people are prosecuted, the better off we're all going to be. The Upper East Side mansion is currently contract and would be among the most pricey homes to sell in New York over the past year if the deal closes, the Wall Street Journal reported. Now, this is the Wall Street Journal was the original source for this article, but it's behind a paywall. And obviously I want you to be able to read along with the article. So that's why we're using this New York Post article today. But it is telling that the Wall Street Journal is talking about it because that usually means that it has legs, right? Now, I don't really trust the Wall Street Journal per se any more than any of the other legacy media outlets. But when it comes to having their finger on the pulse about situations like this, the Wall Street Journal's usually pretty bang on. So I would guess that this is definitely happening. I would guess that the sale is probably going to happen soon, and I would guess the final number ends up around 50 million because, like I said, Wall Street Journal does have credibility when it comes to financial stuff. When they're talking about the financial news, it's usually pretty decent. It's when they start dipping their toes elsewhere. Does every single one of these papers and their editorial boards really think we need all of their opinions on the same subject? The 28,000 square foot neoclassical townhouse at 9th East 71st Street went on the market along with Epstein's Florida mansion in July. So again, speaking of the Florida mansion, we know that Michael Glazer is all over that and that he's going to get that property for roughly 21 million in that neighborhood, 22 million. So again, you add it up. And 50 and 22, that's 72 million. I think that's enough money to facilitate some payouts to some of these girls. Now, let's get a real number from the executors. Again, these guys causing trouble about how much money they're expecting to pay out. And again, we don't know if that's been talked about behind the scenes, right? We're only using what information we have available to us. We don't have any inside information here. I'm not, working off of a leak or anything like that. But you would think that 73 million would be a substantial amount, at the very least, to get a majority of the girls who have not been paid, at least get the process started, right? But the executors of the multimillionaire's estate lowered the price to $65 million last month. And we talked about that as well, about how big of a jump that was. $23 million? Yikes. Big time money. Now we're talking another $13 million dropped off of it. Chop it! Look, at the end of the day, I mean, in the times that we're in with coronavirus and with all the other stuff that goes around the property, I think the $50 million range is pretty spot on. And when we first started talking about this, that's right around the range where I thought it would end up falling. I thought anywhere from about 45 to 55, somewhere around there, would get it done. And it looks like that's the range where this is ending up, it's going to be. So maybe I should start delving into the world of real estate a little bit more, huh? Or maybe I was just a lucky guess. We're going to go with just a lucky guess, all right? It was the most valuable property in Epstein's real estate portfolio, which also included homes in New Mexico, Paris, and a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Imagine this disgusting prick. And I hate to rehash on it, but I mean, come on. All of this money, and this is what you're up to. All the things you could do in the world. And this is the shit that they're getting into. And then the gall of the idiots that were hanging around him and enabling him to act like they're not culpable, to act like they had nothing to do with it, and to act like you're crazy for asking questions. These people truly are suffering from some sort of psychosis. Epstein, who killed himself in August 2019, allegedly, while in custody on federal sex trafficking charges, had long been accused of abusing young women and girls at all of his properties. And it's funny that Zorro was never raided. I, again, hate beating a dead horse, but I think we have to mention it every single time it comes up. I think it's that important. I think that the situation in Zorro Ranch, the fact it was never raided and still to this day has not been raided, the fact that the state authorities really don't give a damn, and the fact that there's not more of a furor around it is, I don't know, it's amazing to me. I don't even understand how there can't be more questions being asked about Zorro Ranch. Oh no, now don't get me wrong. We're asking the questions as in, the listeners out there. I get questions about Zorro all the time. And obviously other independent content creators and people following this case with a much larger reach than myself, they're asking the questions. But I'm wondering, once again, where is the Fourth Estate? Where is your legacy media? His Palm Beach mansion is in contract to sell to developer Todd Michael Glazer for an undisclosed amount, the Journal reported in November. The deal hasn't closed yet, but Glazer said he plans to raise the property and replace it with a new home. Now, we've heard contradicting reports about that property, right? It's getting ready to close, it's going to close, it should close soon, it's closed already. But I guess we'll have to wait and see and try and get a confirmation one way or the other as far as if it's closed yet or if it's close or what the deal is. I wouldn't be shocked to see both of these get reported that they both close right around the same time. That way it tidies up the paperwork when all this money is getting moved to the estate. Because remember, this is a clerical situation as well. There has to be a money trail. There has to be paperwork, taxes, all kinds of things have to occur. So, let's see what happens. Let's see if both of these end up going into closing together, going into escrow and all of that right around the same time. Should be pretty interesting to see how that all ends up. The dead pedophile's sprawling Manhattan home was built in 1930 for Macy's heir Herbert N. Strauss. It was formerly owned by ex-Victoria's Secret honcho Leslie, the Crypt Keeper, Wexner, a one-time close associate of Epstein. Yeah, one-time close associate, you mean patron, you mean buddy, you mean who the hell knows what else. But certainly not just a close associate of Epstein. A little bit more than that, right? I mean, I get it. I get what the New York Post is saying here, and they're intimating a whole lot more, obviously. But I think it's important that we call people like Les Wexner out. And these are the allegations that he's facing. Nobody's making this up. This is the stuff that Virginia has said. This is the stuff that Maria has said. And he has been, these allegations have been made against him. And him just running from it and being quiet and the legacy media not digging deeper, well, that's not going to cut it, all right? That's not going to cut it at all. Epstein bought the property for $20 million in 1998, the Journal reported, citing a person familiar with the situation. What? Pretty sure that was bought for $1 by Les Wexner, and Jeffrey Epstein bought it from Les Wexner for $1. That's what the big talk was about. So until I see that someone close to the story, air quotes again, until I see that name sourced, I'm going to have to say that that's not a 100% factual statement that he purchased it for $20 million. I'm going to have to give that a couple of chicken parmesans. Federal agents and NYPD officers raided the townhouse shortly after Epstein's July 2019 arrest and said they found hundreds of images of nude underage girls stashed inside a safe. I mean, Talk about being brazen. You have all of these like pictures of children and underage girls and stuff, and you keep them in a safe of a house that you've already been arrested in once. This is a man who truly believed that he was never going to have to answer for his crimes. This was somebody who thought he had gotten away with it. And in fact, he was so callous and he thought so little of the power of his survivors fighting back that he kept these pictures in a safe so they could be close at hand. Probably like a serial killer goes and looks at some of the trinkets they take from their victims. Epstein probably did the same thing. And the psychology that is shared between these serial predators, be it sexual or otherwise, it's very apparent that these are the kind of people that cannot be fixed. And Jeffrey Epstein certainly falls into that category, in my opinion. There was no rehabilitating him. And someone like Leon Black, who has the audacity to try and run that one by us, it's the equivalent of pissing on our back and telling us it's raining. He knew that his friend was a sick bastard. What, Epstein didn't make little crude remarks around Leon? They didn't joke around when they were together and talk about all kinds of crass shit? Please, stop it. The creepy lair also held a self-portrait of Epstein and a young girl, and a pair of fake breasts the convicted sex offender played with in the bathtub, one of his accusers has alleged. And this is the kind of sick guy we're talking about, right? What is he, Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs? It puts the breasts in the bathtub or it gets the hose again. This is a sick man, and was a sick man, always has been a sick man, and all of the people that palled around with him, they should all be ashamed of themselves. But instead, they're way too busy trying to save face and pass the hot potato and act like the next guy is more guilty or the next girl is more guilty than them for being closer to Epstein. Well, I have news for you. All of you people that were hanging out on his plane, going to his island, enjoying his food and breaking bread with him at his table, all of you should go and speak to the FBI. Who knows what you saw? His home office there was decorated with a $5.9 million painting of a woman cupping her bare breast, along with a taxidermy tiger and poodle, according to photos obtained by the Post in 2019. And also he had a chess set where the pieces were carved in the likeness of his employees and shit. The dude was sick, okay? Pathologically, he was sick. And if it wasn't for the fact that it robbed all of these survivors of their day in court to stare him down and show him who really has the power, I wouldn't have shed one single damn tear about this guy dying, honestly. And I wouldn't have even mentioned it ever in my life. I would have just kept it moving. Because guess what, folks? There are some people that do not deserve to breathe the same air as us. And when I say that, I mean people sick like Jeffrey Epstein, right? People who are abusing children and being involved in human sex trafficking rings and modern day slavery. These are unacceptable crimes, in my opinion. And you cannot be rehabbed from them either. Proceeds from the sale of the mansion are expected to go to Epstein's estate, which has created a compensation fund to settle claims from his alleged survivors. So we know that the compensation fund has paused. We know that there is a shortage of money somehow. I don't understand how that's possible, but that's for a different time, I guess. But the point is, now that should no longer be an issue. Well, as soon as this is finalized and that money gets wired into the account. So I hope that not only does this property get moving and get sold, but that we see the Florida property that Mr. Glazer's all over. I hope that that goes into sale right around the same time, and then we get one gigantic injection of cash into that fund so that these survivors can, at the very least, close this chapter of their story. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, folks, I will be back tomorrow, and we'll start all over again. I hope you all have a great night.